EPA WA meteorologist Bobby Martin here with your outlook for September 4th, 2019. We have a very warm day today. Partly cloudy skies for most of us. Then we're going to have a cold front come through this afternoon and early evening that could touch off an isolated shower or thunderstorm across the region, but I don't think this is going to be a long duration thing. It should be a quick in and out type thing. Once it comes through, 30 to 45 minutes in and out, and it's done. Okay, so it's not going to be a long lasting thing today. Once this front moves through, we have a trough behind it that's going to bring us cooler air. That's going to be much cooler, though, the temperatures we have today. Temperatures today are going to be expected to be in the mid to upper 80s and maybe even 90 degrees or better down in these areas right here. Philadelphia Metro, points south and east could get to 90 or above. Now, Hurricane Dorian is sitting down here, and we're going to watch the progress of this as well as it moves very close, very dangerously close to the southeastern U.S. coastline, if not making landfall somewhere along this coastline. It's going to parallel the coastline heading up north to the north and east. And this trough right here that's coming in today, ahead of this cold front, this is what's going to pick up Dorian and send it off to the north and east. And finally, we get a nice, fast steering flow that's going to kick this out of here. But yesterday we had this thing stall down here over northern, just north of Grand Bahama, and it sat there for more than 24 hours and just inundated those islands down there. And those islands I saw the pictures and the videos, and we shared some of those on our Facebook page, and they were just incredibly awful. So our hearts go out to those people down there. God bless them. They're just have a tremendous rebuild that's going to be taking place down there. But the GFS does take this a little bit closer to Florida, but not quite. So Florida's going to get not unscathed because the hurricane wind field around this is going to be pretty broad. So you could have some hurricane gusts up here near Jacksonville, Daytona Beach, and then eventually Savannah, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, the Outer Banks, North Carolina are all under the gun for not only the winds, but also the heavy, very heavy rain and the storm surge that's going to come in, because around these hurricanes with the kind of counterclockwise flow around, you're going to have winds pushing the seawater into areas that are normally dry, a couple feet deep of water, several feet in some cases, of storm surge. That's what storm surge is. Well, wind just pushes this water inland and inundates the coastline. So that's what the storm surge is. It's probably the biggest. Everybody wants to focus on the wind speed. The biggest impact from this is probably going to be the storm surge as it's moving off to the north and east. And it's still going to be a strong hurricane. Don't worry about the category. Oh, it's only category 2. Don't worry about that, okay? Hurricanes are hurricanes, very broad. It went through an eyewall replacement cycle on Labor Day, and that has been complete since when it does that. Once it's complete with the eyewall replacement cycle, the storm expands, so it is now a very large hurricane instead of very tight and compact like it was when it was approaching the Bahamas and it was a Category 5. So the winds did come down, yes, but still a lot of problems here for the Carolina regions, and it brings it very dangerously close to Savannah, Charleston, South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, very close to, if not crossing, Wilmington. You see Wilmington juts out a little bit right here. This little jut out here right here might allow for a landfall there, or maybe here in the Outer Banks, North Carolina, as it races off northeast. And this is the GFS I'm using here. Notice that it brings no impacts to our area. We did have a Facebook post that we put out that said that there was a possibility of, especially for our southeastern areas, to see some fringe impacts from this. They could bring some tropical storm force wind gusts and some heavy rain. That's still on the table. Just because the GFS does not show this, that's still on the table. Okay. Before I get to that, I wanted to show you the NAM High-Res Future Simulator radar for today. Here is here's a look at the simulator radar at 2 o'clock. And as you move this forward in time, off to the south and east, this stuff moves. And this is 3 p.m., this is 4, this is 5, there's a 6. You see some very isolated stuff here, very broken line. Here's 7, here's 8, here's 9, and then it's off the coast. So it's generally a kind of like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon to about 8, 9 o'clock in the evening before it exits the coast. But these are just isolated. I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere in here sees a severe thunderstorm warning if one of these cells decide to become a little bit more robust. Not out of the question. You could have some gusty winds with that as it moves through. But this is a quick in and out, 30 to 45 minute type deal. And once that's through, that's it. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with today. Now here is what Hurricane Dorian looks like. And this is just east of Cape Canaveral this evening. You can see the eye still spinning here. Very ragged looking compared to what it looked like over the past couple of days. But it is finally moving. It was sitting right down here, just north of Grand Bahama. It is now moving off to the northwest, steadily and away, thankfully, away from these islands. But you see some of these outer bands starting to get into Cape Canaveral, Daytona Beach, places like that. And that's going to continue as this continues off the north and west. Now, this might actually, as it moves off the north and west, might actually pull a little bit more west of north, closer to the coast, before it makes its turn. And I'll show you why here in a second. And I think that's going to be your eventual track, something like that. So it's not going to do it straight northwest and then turn north and then northeast. Okay? I think it's going to do that because we look at yesterday. This is the 500 millibar vorticity. We had a high pressure sitting over the northeastern Gulf. You get another high east of it, like this. Now, high pressure generates a clockwise flow around it, like this. So here's your flow, like this. And this one's flowing like this. So these are polar opposites. They were counteracting each other. Why wasn't it moving? Because you had opposite forces working against each other. Okay? So it stalled there for a while. Now you have this little trough that was just north of it. This is actually part of the rain that we had that came through yesterday, right up in here. So this trough moved off to the south. And then it kicked that high that was sitting here also. It kicked it out of the way. And was replaced by a trough. So we move this forward to today. And the trough's now south of the region. The hurricane's able to move because you have a trough here. Here's your trough. Still this high pressure here, though, so you still have the steering flow is now just this one high pressure, pushing it from the southeast. So everything's moving it northwest. That's what it did today. And there's a little bit of a weakness here. What this does, this weakness, this trough creates a weakness. You have a trough here. So you had a weakness created. It's going to actually tug it back a little bit to the northwest. And the reason it's going to turn north and then northeast is because of today and the cold front coming through. It's going to get to a point, maybe just southeast of Savannah, and then turn northeast, and that's because you have a cold front moving through. It's going to grab it, like we talked about before. So here's the cold front. It grabs Durian, sends it northeast. Okay? Now, we're going to watch for these fringe impacts here, and again, the GFS is not thrilled with that, but here's the European model. Same position to near the Outer Banks, North Carolina on Friday morning, but look what it does. It brings generally along I-95 and points southeast, brings some rain to the region, and it also brings some gusty winds, 25 to 35 miles per hour with some tropical storm force wind gusts, especially by the coastal regions. So we will keep an eye on this closely because this makes sense to me from a meteorological standpoint because you now have a trough sitting here. This means this is cooler air, much warmer air south of this trough. Trough's still down here. Okay, and kicking this out to the north and east. So the cooler air will condense, and you can get some added lift in these regions right here, northwest of a system. So I think that is a good possibility for areas along in the southeast of 995 to get some showers on Friday, and it might actually back up a little bit, according to this model, when he backs it all the way up to all of New Jersey and back to the Lehigh Valley and Lancaster. Now, further northwest is nothing. But here, on the northwest side, you have a band of rain coming through. So that could be a change for Friday. We'll continue to monitor that. And then that moves away for the weekend. Our weekend forecast is great. Once the system moves away, we are mostly sunny here on Saturday, partly cloudy here on Sunday, partly cloudy here on Monday, and partly cloudy Tuesday. So a dry stretch after the system leaves. We are going to watch those areas that we made a Facebook post about. The areas in our southeastern areas especially that have a chance for rain and at least some windy conditions from late Thursday night through the day on Friday. So we'll narrow that down when we get a little bit closer, make a new post once we have that more information available. And of course, just like any daily forecast video I give you, and for those of you who watch every single day, I want to thank you. And you understand that how comprehensive we go into the details of the hows and whys of this video. I've been accused of that, of not doing that by another weather page, which I'm not going to name, not going to give him the time of day, but seems to think that we're only concerned about our paid services and things like that. This is a free video. Anybody can watch this every single day. Whether people choose to or not is another thing, but we go into a very detailed breakdown of the weather and the hows and whys of weather. We'll be doing it for years, and we're going to continue to do that with every single system that comes in. But we did not have a vested interest here. Businesses, we are a business. We're not a Facebook page. We are a business. that happens to have a Facebook page, and some people seem to forget about that. And we did not have a vested interest here, business interest in the southeastern United States, which is why we did not release any kind of hurricane maps or anything. So we did release it privately to our clients, our major clients. We have a major energy client here in the state of Pennsylvania that we work for, that needed information about outsourcing help to these areas affected or potentially affected by this hurricane. And we did that. Once that was complete, we had no need to do anything further down here in the southeastern United States. When it gets up here in the areas we cover, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, eastern and northern Maryland, then I have an issue. Then I have to start talking about it, because that's where most of you are living, and this is where most of you are concerned about. So we do have a vested interest in the air with not only our fans, but also our private clients are mostly located up in these areas right here. So we will continue to do that going forward to the end, and that's why we're doing these comprehensive videos every single day until Dorian is out of the picture. We do the same thing with winter storms. We do the same thing with just regular thunderstorms. Those of you with us for a while, I wanted to thank you for being with us and supporting us for all these years. I'm EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Marchers. That is your outlook for September 4th, 2019. Have a great Wednesday.